Damon Bruce here, and welcome to the NBA on 2K Sports. The weekend of hoops continues. It's going to be Paul Pierce and the Boston Celtics up against Joakim Noah and the Chicago Bulls. And we're ready for tip-off in Chicago. Kevin Harlan and the crew with a call.
All eyes are on the Eastern Conference in this game as the Chicago Bulls play this one at home. And thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan along with Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg to bring you the NBA on 2K Sports. And now the opening lineup for Boston. Ray Allen and Paul Pierce on the wings. Kevin Garnett and Jermaine O'Neal at the 4 and 5. And it's Rondo in at the point guard. And for Chicago, Rose and Dang on the floor. Carlos Boozer and Joakim Noah, they're inside. And it's Bogans in at the 2.
Now, the Bulls had to battle some injuries last year, but it didn't slow them down one bit in their rampage through the East. Carlos Boozer missed time early. Joakim Noah missed a large chunk of the season as well, but it didn't slow them down.
Now here's Rose. He's picked up by Rondo. Kept alive. Here's Noah. Stuffs it through.
Simply tenacious play out of that young fella.
Yeah, excellent putback jam. You're right.
Well, that's what he prides himself on, hard work under the glass.
Here's Rondo. He's covered by Rose. And it's Kevin Garnett with the finish. Here's a second look with the Sprite Slam Cam.
Boy, he hung him out to dry that time. A terrific reverse.
You can't help but be amazed by that dunk.
Man, that's one to remember, huh?
Now here's Rose. Kevin Garnett grabs the miss.
You know, you look at the stats last year for Rose. Just unbelievable as he established the Bulls as his team.
He couldn't stay in bounds, and that's going to be a turnover. Doris Burke has an update for us. Doris?
Well, Kevin, Tom Thibodeau gave me a few minutes to catch up with him. The point he emphasized to me the strongest was the need for a sharp defensive performance. He touted his squad's knack for reading an offense and reacting accordingly. He said, we'll be ready for whatever they have in store for us. Trust me. Kevin?
Wonderful, Doris. Thanks. Thinking about Clark and Steve, their defense right off the bat here.
Yeah, you're never going to go wrong putting the bulk of your effort into getting stops. I mean, that always pays off.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if that's going to be the case, if they're going to bring that style and that type of energy, they've got to be ready to go deep into their bench tonight as well.
Allen's shot is off. Clark can go back to Rose, 25 points and almost 8 assists a game for him.
Well, Clark, I'll take this one if you don't mind. But, you know, Rose's field goal percentage dipped a little bit. But remember, he was taking about 4 more three-pointers per game. And I think Rose has to take so many of the late shot clock attempts for the Bulls because they don't have a second option who can create his own shot. So that's why sometimes those field goal percentages can be a little misleading.
Here is Bogans. Over Pierce. And the Bulls with another miss. Stolen by Boozer. And here's Rose. O'Neal's there. Releases. Second shot opportunity. Boozer, no good.
He was right there, but the defensive pressure forced that miss.
Well contested. That really made it a tough shot.
Allen's shot is off.
Tough three-point try there with a hand in his face.
Boy, you'd be lucky to make that one against great defense. Similarities between Rivers the coach and Doc Rivers the player. I mean, he had the height to play shooting guard, but was the most valuable running the show as the point guard.
And here's Rondo. He's covered by Rose. Allen dishes to Pierce. From the stripe. Here's Garnett. Rose with some nice D. Chicago leading. Even numbers, 4-on-4. Outside Dang. Back to Rose. From past the arc. Rose with another miss. Great point, Clark, on Rivers. You know, the teams that he has coached, Orlando and Boston, really embody him. Steve, they all play smart, tough defensively, well coached up and down.
Yeah, it is interesting how teams kind of take on their coach's personality, and that's definitely been the case with Boston and Doc Rivers. As a player, he was tough, he was smart, he was competitive, and it sure shows in the way his Boston teams have played the last few years.
From the arc, and Bogans gets it to go.
You know, guys, he's always looking for that open three. I mean, that's his strength, and sometimes the best time to get the three is in transition.
Rose against Rondo. Right side, Pierce. He's picked up by Dang. Again, Pierce missing.
It's like there's a lid on the rim right now, guys. He just can't make a thing.
And it's got to be terribly frustrating. I mean, Steve, you were a great shooter, but you've got to find a way to work out of it, and I think he will.
Now here's Rose. Still looking to get on the scoreboard.
Tell you what, things just aren't bouncing his way this quarter.
Allen for three. And it's Chicago with the rebound. Right side, Rose. Rose with another miss.
Nothing dropping for him, so I think in the best interest of his team, he may need to think about not shooting right now.
Yeah, just a nightmare start for them early in this game with the turnover.
Well, 3 turnovers already, Steve, as you've documented. I mean, it feels like tip-off was seconds ago, and they're not holding on to the ball.
And we reached the end of the first quarter. It's the Bulls. They're up by 6.
The defense was...
Now the second quarter getting ready to start up. Here's Rondo.
Guys, the record was 37-15 for the Celtics against the Eastern Conference last season. Still one of the powerhouses, not just in the conference, but in the league.
On the court for the Celtics, second quarter underway. Pierce and KG at the 3 and the 4. Rondo and Allen make up the backcourt, and it's O'Neal in at the 5 down low. Let me ask you guys here, going back to the Celtics, eliminated by the Heat in 5 games in the playoffs. Clark, are they still a factor in the East?
Mm-hmm.
Steve?
Oh, yeah, they're still a factor. I mean, Miami is so good right now, but remember, Boston had an excellent regular season. They've got plenty of talent. They've got some good young players with Rondo and Jeff Green. And Boston will still be a major player in the Eastern Conference this year.
Let's check out what Doris Burke has for us.
Hey, Kevin, this Boston team has been defined by defense and toughness, and Ray Allen has bought in. Former coach George Karl said, "What I've always liked about Ray is even though he's somewhat of a finesse player, he's not fearful of making the courageous play when needed. Now sometimes that means making a big shot at the end of games, but it also means taking on difficult defensive assignments or coming up with a big rebound." Guys?
And Doris, that commitment really a team trait.
And, you know, that's what it takes to win. Everybody, even your skilled players, best players, willing to scrap and make gutsy plays, sacrificing their body. That's why they've been so successful.
And denied at the rim, but they call the foul. Whistle blows, and we'll see him shoot 2 from the line.
Good foul. Make him earn the free throws. Don't let this team dunk.
I like that. That's a smart foul. I mean, it's a lot easier to dunk it than it is to hit 2 free throws. Make them earn them at the stripe.
He hits the second from the line.
Well, I thought Rondo played well for the Celtics in their postseason run last spring. I thought he picked up and elevated his production from the regular season. And had a pretty strong playoff run.
Gets it to go. Hogan's got 5 points so far.
Every once in a while, he'll kind of step out of his role and give you something like that.
Rondo passes to Pierce. He goes up, and Rondo with the basket on the assist by Pierce. Yeah, and back to Rondo. Clark actually upped his scoring totals during the playoffs from about 10 points, a contest to 14. First round against the Knicks, 19 and 12. Terrific. And then I'm sure you remember the gruesome dislocation of the left elbow.
That was hard to watch.
And what guts to come back and play in that series.
Yeah, he's a tough little hombre.
Steve, you had to appreciate that performance.
Oh, boy, he was really something to watch, Kevin. With that injury, to continue to compete in that series against Miami, you could tell he was hurting, but he still brought it every night. And he gave a great performance given what he was going through.
Pierce is tagged with the reach. That's foul number 2 for him.
And now, guys, still early in the second quarter, and that's his second foul. I'd be anxious to see if they leave him in here.
Here's Rose, looking for his first bucket of the game. Here's Bogans. Here's Dang. And their work on the board pays off with the second chance points. Here is Rondo. 4-point game. Allen for 3. And it's good, coming on the assist by Rajon Rondo. 8 points for Allen.
Well, you look at the Celtics a season ago, they went 23 and 18 on the road, and that would be a good mark for most teams. That was Boston's worst road record in the last 4 years.
He's yet to make an impact from the field, but his team is taking care of business.
And finished off by Noah.
Coaches are always screaming and preaching that. Get to the offensive glass and try to keep the ball alive.
Well, that's just the tenacity you look for, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, and no messing around on the putback either, Kevin. Put it down hard.
Steve just talking about that Celtics road record. You think, Clark, that is something to be concerned about, 23 and 18 away?
Kevin, probably not. I mean, on their overall record, they gained 6 wins from the previous season. If there's any concern for the Celtics, it's probably the question of age and how much do the big 3 have left in the tank. But it is interesting when you think about it. Last year, when they felt, the year before rather, when they got to the NBA Finals, they didn't feel concerned about not having home court advantage in the Eastern Conference because they had been so good on the road.
Sure.
So that could have maybe put a little chink in their armor in last season's playoff.
Here's Allen. He's got 8. Garnett left side. Knocked loose. It's stolen by Dang.
Anticipating that pass so well. Beautifully done.
And keeping us updated from the sideline, let's swing it over to Doris Burke for an update. Hi, Doris.
Hey guys, well, one of the identifying characteristics of the Celtics, one of their calling cards, has been their tough defense over the years. Former coach Phil Jackson had high praise for them, saying they're going to smother, they're going to contest, and they're going to body guys. He added that these things you'll have to account for and plan for when facing the Celtics. Guys, not easy to do.
Good job, Doris. Boston always near the top of the league in defense.
And, Kevin, I think Kevin Garnett has the most to do with that. He's the anchor down there on the block. And as a team, they've put together one of the best defensive units in the NBA the last few years surrounding Kevin Garnett.
And it's Rose missing.
He's just been ice cold. I mean, he cannot find the range.
Ball's knocked loose. Stolen by Noah. The Bulls leading by 7.
And they will hold.
Oh! Ho, ho!
That's just a beautiful fast break.
Defton, textbook all the way to the nice finish at the rim.
Rondo kicks to Pierce. Takes the 3. Basket is good. The assist from Rondo. Rondo's got 5 assists in the game. Right side Rose, and no good trying to get that one. So we've reached the end of the first half of play. Don't go away, back in just a moment.
Sunday Hoops seems like...
Welcome back, everyone. The second half about to get underway, and it's been a close one so far. Here's Rondo.
I'll tell you one thing, it's really hard to go from winning no playoff series in 1 year to a championship. That is a big jump. Only 2 teams have done it in the modern era.
And Boozer throws it down hard.
As soon as they forced that turnover, they really attacked the rim. I like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought that was the highlight of the sequence.
It's Allen on the wing. Stolen by Bogans. And he lays in the alley-oop. That's 7 points for Luol Deng.
Wonderful unspoken communication that time between 2 teammates.
Boy, Steve, the timing was ideal.
Well, a difficult play made to look easy.
He kicks to O'Neal. Three-pointer. Allen's shot is off.
Boy, I tell you, Joakim Noah wasn't a sure thing coming out of Florida as far as GMs were concerned. I mean, they weren't sure about how his fiery style of play would translate to the NBA, but I think he's been outstanding.
And Rajon Rondo, the basket on the assist by Allen. 7 points for Rajon Rondo. Rose against Rondo. Rose, no good. Well, you're right on that, Clark, about Noah. He did win the 2 national championships down in Gainesville, but he almost appeared a little bit, you just didn't know what you were going to get.
Right.
But now the numbers last year, 12 points, 10 rebounds with good percentages.
That's strong.
And Steve, that's what you want from your center.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't think Noah's effectiveness always shows up in the stats because it's his energy and his aggression and his emotion that he brings that really makes a big impact for the Bulls.
Outside Rondo. Shot is off. So the Bulls will take it the other way.
This is not the start to the second half they wanted. Coming out shooting just 1 of 4.
Here's Rose. Rose can't get that one to fall.
Well, that's a really good look, but even as good a shooter as he is, they're not all going to fall.
Took him no time at all on that one. 7 points for Paul Pierce. Rondo against Rose. He's covered by Rondo. Rondo gets the reach-in call. That'll be his second foul of the game. Here is Rose. He's got 7. He's covered by Rondo. Rondo gets called for the reach, and that'll be his 3rd foul so far. Here's Rose. 8-point game. He's picked up by Rondo and fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2. Ray Allen picks one up.
Rose is such an unbelievably strong finisher at the rim. His explosiveness and his leaping ability and his strength in the air makes it almost unfair when you're trying to deal with that guy, especially if he's got a head of steam coming at you.
Well, Clark, you nailed it about Rose. He contorts so much while airborne, but Steve always stays in control.
Well, coaches talk about the launching pad. When you let Derrick Rose get to that launching pad, he gets a head of steam and goes off at 2 feet in the lane. Forget about it. He's so strong and so athletic.
With that one, boy, they got the crowd buzzing there.
A pretty perfect play all around.
What a fantastic dunk to finish it off, too.
Trying to go big for the alley-oop, but good defense got in the way. It's Allen on the wing. Over Deng. Boston, no good that time either.
After coming over from the Celtics, Tom Thibodeau has really brought his brand of defense over to the Bulls. I mean, you've seen it. Hard to argue with the result. He was just what the Bulls were looking for in a new head coach.
Now here's Rondo. 7 points in the game. O'Neal dishes to Rondo. Stolen by Bogans. Out of bounds. They'll keep possession.
They're fortunate that one was just deflected and not stolen. Dodged a bullet there.
Here's Rose. Long range from the inbound. Shot's good. Rose has got 7 points for the quarter.
Boy, he just seems to score so easily. The game comes very simply to him.
And You see the turnaround, Clark, that Thibodeau brought to Chicago. You know, Steve, you've been in the front office before hiring and firing coaches. You wonder why he wasn't hired sooner.
Well, I actually interviewed Tom Thibodeau in Phoenix, and maybe I should have hired him. He's a phenomenal coach, did a great job with Chicago, and I think that roster was perfectly suited for his style. Thibodeau, very defensive-minded, and he's got a lot of great defenders on that Chicago team.
Here is Rose. 12 points for him. Here's the three. Gets it to go. Rose has got 15.
Now they get those 3 points back in a hurry, don't they?
Yeah, they sure did. Didn't take them long at all to respond.
Allen passes to Rondo. Jacks up a three. There's Allen. That's good on the assist by Rondo. Rondo's got 6 assists in the game. Rondo is whistled for reaching in. That's his 4th foul of the contest. Here is Rose. He's got 15. A fader. And the Bulls tack on 2 more.
He has taken over this game, guys. I don't know what else you can say about it.
Got a piece of it. Out of bounds. And they retain possession. And here's Rondo. He's got 10. Puts it up. Here's Pierce. Oh, that's blocked. Here's Pogans. No good on that last second attempt there. And here at the end of the 3rd quarter, it's a double-digit ball game. A fantastic. And now let's send it to our sideline reporter, Doris Burke, for our Sprite Spark of the game. Doris?
Kevin, well, our spark of the game goes to the Bulls for that major surge. Things started opening up for them in the 3rd quarter as they exerted their will onto this game, and they are in complete control as the game now heads into the 4th and final period, guys.
Thanks, Doris. Clark, it was a scoring run that proved extremely important.
Yeah, Kevin, you know what? I think that's exactly when they grabbed this one by the throat, really seized control of it.
And you could see their energy just building as the game went on. And by the end of that run, they really took control of everything.
And a look at the 5 for the Celtics to start the 4th quarter. Kevin Garnett and Jermaine O'Neal at the 4 and 5. Ray Allen, Paul Pierce on the wings. And it's Rondo in at the point guard position. Pierce inside the 3-point line. Gets a very good look and converts.
Well, you know what? He finally didn't force one there, Kevin. I mean, I'd like to see him get a few more looks like that.
It's 1-on-1. Unload from 9. Rondo, no good. The Bulls leading by 16. Allen gets called for the reach. That'll be his 2nd foul of the game. It's stolen by Rondo.
So a couple of poor possessions now in a row consecutively. Both times turnover. That's not productive basketball. That's not winning basketball.
No, Clark, you know, you start stringing errors back-to-back together, you lose all momentum in this game.
And the officials signal the backcourt violation. Not very careful there. And here's Rondo. And Rose picks him up defensively. Pierce kicks to Garnett. Back to Pierce. It's tipped. It's stolen by Rose.
He's been doing a nice job taking care of it.
And the big-time jam. Let's see it again with the Sprite Slam Jam.
No problem finishing there.
You know, those are painful to give up, Steve.
Allen dishes to Pierce. Boston again missing.
A nice little rebounding advantage they're enjoying here.
Yeah, and that's the reason they've got this big lead. I mean, they're dominating the glass and really being tougher than their opponent.
Well, it's unfortunate, but he just is not a dependable, consistent finisher, especially if a defense is right there in front of him.
Back to Allen. Shoots. Boston, no good that time either. The Bulls leading by 18. Left side Rose. In time, he gets the jumper to fall. Rose has got 6 here in this quarter.
You know, they've really made the best of their chances down the middle of the lane here.
Yeah, they haven't met much resistance down in the paint, so I think you've got to continue to pound the ball down low. And across the board, his stats, just amazing.
Well, he's monogrammed this game in a big way.
The shot. Shot goes down. Very quick possession right there. Rose has got 25 points. Pierce for 3. Shot is off. Nice D from Dang.
Well, he got 1 to go in the first, but he hasn't been able to connect from three-point land here in this half.
Out of bounds. And they'll keep possession.
And took a gamble there to try to disrupt that pass.
Yeah, he couldn't quite get a hold of it, but still a nice play.
1:46 left in the fourth quarter of this one. That is good.
And that should do it. This is an insurmountable lead.
Yep, there's too little time left, too big a deficit to overcome. This one's over.
Kevin Garnett with the steal. Passes it to Pierce. The shot by Allen. Sticks it from 17 feet.
You look at their scoring. Mid-range jumpers account for 6 of their last 10 points.
Well, defensively, they're doing a nice job of keeping them out of the paint, but you got to give them credit. They're knocking down shots.
Now Rose. Excellent D there from Garnett.
I think he's been fighting his shot a little bit. He's not getting many of them to drop right now.
That's what they call the $1 million move with the 10-cent finish.
Allen for 3. Gets it to go.
Second three-pointer of the half, 4th overall. So he's having a nice game from outside.
Turnaround Jay. And it's Rose missing.
Well, I tell you what, really a good job to get open and then just kind of botch the release.
Well, they're really making a point of keeping the ball moving around.
Yeah, Steve and Kevin, you guys got to love this teamwork. I mean, everybody's involved and engaged. It's just a thing of beauty to watch.
Yeah, sure is. And when all 5 guys, Clark, are threats to score, that makes it so tough on the defense because now you can't account for everybody when the ball's moving so quickly.
And again, no good by Chicago. Here are the Celtics with the ball. They trail by 18. They turn it over.
Chicago ball.
And so here is Chicago. Earlier, they held a 23-point lead. He's against Allen. Shoots it up. It's off. And here they come. Very pretty alley-oop layup.
Well, I tell you what, they made the most of that opportunity, guys.
Yeah, if he had a path to the basket, you're right, Clark. And Steve, the alley-oop was right on target.
It was, and I like the gentle finish, too, Kevin, because that's not an easy play to catch and lay in the ball.
And so Chicago takes this one, and by a big